I want to look at this, and this is a hat tip to Effed Up World here. And he put this out, and I just thought it was interesting, not so much because it was of the very first spacewalk by Ed, what's his name, whatever the first astronaut was that did it, but
White.
Yeah, Ed White, that's right. But notice what he has in his hand here, guys. And I saw that, and I perked up. I'm like, what is that thing? And so that's basically his little
spray, right? Your little spray of gas to make him move around.
Yeah, basically what these are is they're like a little O2 tank, and I think there's something else. But essentially what it does is it sprays gas out, right? Pressurized gas. And of course, this is directly analogous to the ridiculousness we saw in the movie Gravity, right? Where after the shuttle got devastated and all that, they were floating around in space and using fire extinguishers to propel themselves around, right? And it's so unbelievable because, they completely disavowed that. And they said, well, no, yeah, that's ridiculous because, the whole argument is that you cannot discharge something into free space because then you have a condition called free expansion of gas. And when you have a free expansion of gas argument, then no work is being done. Therefore, if no work is being done, you cannot propel yourself through space in any way, shape, or form. Now, with rockets, they're telling us that essentially what they're doing now is they are putting out a high-speed stream of gas, and the mass from that gas alone, they're saying that they can build up enough pressure, back pressure against it, that they can actually propel themselves off of it, which, of course, is a complete lie and utter nonsense because, again, you've got the entire, space at 10 to the negative 17th torr, which will dissipate anything, free expansion, instantaneously. So the idea that you could have any type of little portable unit in operation is ridiculous. And of course, they call these things astronaut propulsion units, APUs.
So what you're saying is gas expands in a vacuum. It doesn't just stay in one place. The greater the vacuum, the greater the expansion. And if you pop that balloon, that gas will immediately fill the entire vacuum. So if gas were to come out of a rocket in outer space, we shouldn't be thinking of it staying together like some kind of a rainbow. That gas should immediately disperse, leaving nothing to push off of. And let's just think this through. If you have one particle that comes out of the back of a rocket at a given speed, something has to slow that particle down in order for the next particle to be able to kick itself off of it and get that propulsion necessary to be able to move the rocket. Propulsion works as like a chain reaction where one particle pushes off another particle, which pushes off another particle until it ends up moving the rocket. You don't have that if all the particles are coming out at the same speed.
It is impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, as Rethink is saying here, they extended the atmosphere beyond the moon. So we forgot that. That's ESA did that. So now they can burn everywhere. They can have combustion anywhere they want.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's more of a theoretical thing. Like even the atmosphere that they claim goes out to the moon is very sparse and disparate. But I mean, the analogy that I try to use when you're talking about this with Globers is if you're riding around on a jet ski, it works just fine when it's in the water. But if you take the jet ski out of the water, you're just going to burn out the motor. It doesn't work.
As we all know that you cannot run these for any length of time out of the water without water going to them. Otherwise, you will overheat the exhaust.
And so the same thing should apply for any sort of rocket propulsion, or especially the little propellers or whatever, the whippet containers that the astronauts have attached to their suits. You have to have that back pressure of the ambient atmosphere for that sort of thing to work. And for them to claim that the astronauts use that in a vacuum, to me, is just laughable. And it's just more proof that they really didn't think that far ahead. They never really thought that people were going to question their assertions. They just assumed that people would go on, blindly believing anything that they claim forever. And, they were wrong.
In fact, when my demonstration last year at Flattoberfest was on rockets, and basically, the demonstrations that they use is they'll try and put like something that puts out a lot of gas inside of a chamber that's been evacuated, but only partially evacuated. And then once they light off the rocket engine or whatever, it fills it up with gas particulates. And then at some point, it actually gives it something to push off of, right?
That's a really good point right there. You got to think about stuff like that.
Yeah, and so people are completely fooled by that. And, you know, if you could sit there and keep that, even a 10 to the negative, I don't know, maybe fifth or 10 to the negative 6 torr vacuum and sustain that, you know, being able to keep it evacuating constantly, I guarantee you nothing would ever move.
I think my favorite rocket in a vacuum demonstration is this one by Action Lab. This vacuum is puny compared to the intensity of the vacuum of space, as they claim. So you'll see a stream of gas come out of the syringe rocket here. It's not automatic dispersal here, but you'll notice that no movement takes place until the end of that gas stream hits the wall. It is the wall that slows that gas down, allowing that chain reaction to take place, which then moves the rocket. And people have to remember, there are no walls to push off of in the claimed outer space.
Yeah. Anyway, so I kind of got sidetracked. But anyway, what I wanted to point it out, and this is great. Besides that little thing that I caught onto here, you have to really laugh. And you know, when you're checking out the motion of this guy, right? So he's going to go off on his little journey here.
Even though his suit does not look all puffed up like a balloon, he's really stiff, and it's like he only moves one body part at a time here. Just this whole rotation here, that's really direct, and that's a very sudden stop that he came to.
The neck is not supposed to move in these suits. The head is supposed to move freely inside of the helmet, and yet they show the neck and the helmet move with his head, which is like, to me, it looks like claymation, like something out of Jason and the Argonauts, but I don't know. What do I know?
Yeah, it is. It is the same animator. I think Ido talks about that. There's this person that won the Academy Awards for clay animation that particular year, and he got hired to do both the Russians and the Americans for the Gemini kind of era. And so the animation from the Russians that they have, whoever it is, Gagarin, whatever it is, whoever it is that they put up, is made in the same manner.
It's probably that guy that did Jason and the Argonauts, like, you know, the famous skeleton army sequence, which was pretty good for the time. And if you go back and look at it now, it looks ridiculous. But yeah, it's probably the same guy, honestly. Like, I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Astronauts and Argonauts. Except I think these skeletons were animated better than the astronaut was.
Yeah, I look at it and I see Gumby and Pokey. You know, that old claymation type of series.
Gumby.
Yeah, that's going back a few. I'm showing my age there, but yeah, just pretty interesting. So watch the angles on the Earth. I mean,
when it goes around.
What is going on there? Gemini 4, the first spacewalk.
A hat tip to Effed Up World for that. That was a good catch, and it's just comedic. You know, I love looking at some of these old space clips that are just so beyond ridiculous. And again, I know that the fanboys just have to cringe, you know, but they have to support it. They can't say, "Oh, that does look fake,"